So I'm going to give you guys as close to a promise as I can give because, nothing in life is assured. Death, taxes, and Santonio Holmes will point for a first down. That will always be in my head. But mark my words. If I have my way this week, this second week of the NHL playoffs, will be the only week of the NHL playoffs where we lose more days than we win. Mark my words. And this isn't just to inflate it. This is my semi-promise to you. Because there are certain things that are kind of opening my eyes. I never, ever, ever, in all my years, I've seen a bunch of Florida Panthers-esque teams. And last year, exactly what I thought with the Panthers happened. They struggled with an 8 seed and then got waxed by a real team. I cannot foresee something like I'm seeing with these Devils. Because they showed me exactly what I thought in games 1 and 2. So the odds for that to just fully flip with a third-string goalie, that's just very hard to foresee. The Avalanche, I'm not kidding, I would have never thought this series went to 7. There have been some surprises, and that's why this weekend really is somewhat of a make-or-break weekend for my playoffs, because I understand better than anyone. I always said that people on those debate shows, you should have to wager airtime. Like, you can't just tell people, oh, go do this, go do that, and then if you're completely wrong, you show up back the next day like it never happened. I'm responsible for my picks, and I'm responsible for my sniffs. And if the Colorado Avalanche lose either tonight or on Sunday, I'll deem this whole season a failure. I will. I'm not an unaccountable person. I understand. But I still have a large amount of faith because I don't think it's a coincidence they cashed our early tickets and now we're in the playoffs. And here we are. And I'm happy today's a Friday because although this has been a losing week, I'm not just going to give you picks for today. I'm going to give you chess piece picks for over the weekend, even though I'm not going to make a video. And this isn't just me guessing. This is anything that I can give you before Monday that I'm confident in. And example number 1 is I'm obviously taking the Colorado Avalanche tonight. And I'm also taking the Colorado Avalanche on Sunday. I'm taking them to win game 6 and 7. Now, I know you can just take them to win the series at plus money, but also individually, I will take them for both of those games. I will say I do not like this news about Nichushkin coming out. I think it's a very negative distraction. And remember when I used to give you conspiracy theory, but the conspiracy theory gambler, I feel like when there's news out there about that and everyone kind of starts rooting against a team because of the headlines, refs are a little more likely to call penalties on them. They won't get the benefit of the doubt. But regardless, with all of that said, I think Makar's coming back into that lineup. I think he's getting a point in this game. I think he's getting his overage shots on goal. I think their stars are going to empty the tank, give whatever they have. And I really think this one's going to be dramatic. Remember 3-2 back against the wall with Tampa Bay trailing in the third with their series on the line, tied at 1 in overtime. It was an absolute sweat that we needed just to continue the series, to go on the road, which they were underdogs in, and continue the dream. Well, something tells me that we're going to have to deal with drama before getting through this Game 6, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche because I don't turn my back on my picks. I don't turn my back on my sniffs. I thought it day 1, and I'm going to think it day whatever we are into the playoffs. So I got Colorado tonight, obviously, but it's not the only one. I gave you my feelings on the series, and the only series that's over is the Vegas-Winnipeg series. And just something that I wanted to note, I told you guys about those early goalie polls. I'd never seen a goalie pulled 8 minutes left down 4. But just remember that for the future. You don't need any bets from this channel, whatever. Remember, in the early rounds, if a team is either going to get swept or in Game 5, they don't give a rat's ass anymore. It doesn't matter if they're down 3, 4, 5. They'll pull the goalie with like 6 minutes left because they got nothing to lose. So just remember that. If you ever, if you liked Vegas last night, and I suggested to you last week, take some on the money line, some on the puck line, and then some on like the -2.5. That would have worked out well for you last night. But weirdly enough, they pulled the goalie down 4 and ended up losing by 3. What are the odds of that with 8 minutes left? That's pretty crazy. And another piece of advice, I have two pieces of advice. Number one, go over to Caesars Sportsbook, create a new account, and get your first bet risk-free up to $1,250. You get that in free bet credits as long as you're a new user and you're located in a state or province where sports betting is permitted. But if you're taken in the night because you had a rough week, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Somebody's going to be there to help you out. But I'm still here right now to help the non-gambling addicts out with another piece of advice. After Game 5, that is where I draw the line usually in round 1. After Game 5 in round 1, because obviously if games are going to 6 and 7, everything's on the line. It's unders or nothing. I never want to see you take an over the rest of the playoffs. Maybe I'll let you sneak by on an Oilers game because they're the one ruckus team. Every other game, as you saw last night, even if a team's dominating, they don't want to give up anything. And you see shutouts like in the Devils game. Even the Toronto-Tampa game, that stayed under. Winnipeg game, that stays under. So it's unders or nothing from this point forward. And it's going to be no different on this particular Friday. The double bump it up under that we use many times throughout the season. This isn't the season. This is the Graceland of unders. Game 6 and 7 in a series where teams have the opportunity to close it out. And if a team has a lead trying to stave off elimination, they're just chipping it out. Even a team like Colorado, if they're up by 1, you watch how defensive they will play in the third period. Just watch the end of their series versus Tampa. As soon as they had a lead, they just shut everything down for the rest of the game. And that's what I expect in these. So give me the under 6.5 in the Islanders-Carolina game. And combine that with the under 6.5 in the Wild and Dallas game. And that will wiggle you to plus money the last I checked. So double under 6.5s because those are elimination games. Elimination games equal under for me. If you want to have balls, you can do the under, the regular 5.5. I'd rather take 2 to stay under 6.5 than even take 1 to stay under 5.5. And also, this is a pick that I really like. I know I've waited to kind of get to it, a couple picks into the video. But I told you before these series started, I think this Stars series is destined for 7. Traded games 1 and 2, traded games 3 and 4, then home team. I imagine home team again, and then I truly do not know who wins Game 7. I would love to give you a pick here on this one, and then also the pick for Sunday like I just did for Colorado. I have no clue who would win a Game 7. You know those Wild are going to work their asses off. They can win on the road. They have the ability to. But I really do like the Wild to force that Game 7 in Dallas tonight. They've played better than Dallas in the games in their building, and the one that Dallas won. I mean, Minnesota's really kind of getting hosed with these penalty calls. It's that power play, which I said at the outset of the series, if there was a difference maker, their power play had Minnesota figured out during the regular season, and that transferred right over to the playoffs. But this game, I think you're going to see Minnesota's best. Give me Minnesota at home against the Dallas Stars. And the final game is the Boston Bruins. All I'll say, Kachuk really screwed with me with that. We'll be back here for games. I hate when I see stuff like that. It shouldn't really mess with me too much. All I will tell you is for those 2 road games, when people asked me, I said, look, you're getting the team with the most wins of all time, and you're getting them at like minus 150. You're never going to get a complaint from me if you want to take them. That's all I will say for that particular game. Now, because I feel like I owe you guys a little bit for this lackluster week, and I do think we're going to turn it around very quickly. I truly believe this second week of the playoffs will be our last losing week. I really mean that from the bottom of my crooked black heart. You ready? I'm going to take the Rangers in Game 6. Devils fans. I couldn't be happier for you. If there's one that it hurts me that I screwed the sports bettors, but there is the little piece of me that is absolutely thrilled the Rangers are losing these games. They have an all-star team out there. I don't want to see them win the Stanley Cup. I do not want to see the New York Rangers win the Stanley Cup. So, curse at me all you want in the comment. If it makes you feel better, fine. Just know, if we remove this channel, we remove this, and you just throw me back into the real world, I'm praying that the Devils win, just like I did in 11 when they played in the conference final, praying for Kovalchuk to score game winners. I was so happy when they won it in that overtime. But fool me 3 times, I guess I'm going to go Einstein on this one. Yeah, I'm going to be, remember, Albert Einstein's definition of insanity is trying the same thing, expecting different results. But it's not the actual definition. No one ever adds that in. It's not the actual definition of insanity. I'll tell you what the actual definition of insanity is. Also, Albert Einstein never tried acting. You know what? You ever see these people? They go on 500 auditions and they finally get their big break, okay? Imagine they went by the Einstein's theory of insanity. They would have quit 400 auditions ago. By the time you see me on Monday, either a lot of stuff is going to be right. Colorado is going to be there. I'm going to be here with a big green, yellow smile. Or I'm going to have to look down the pipe and say, listen, I had a Boston Bruins type disappointment. I am the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning. All the build-up to the playoffs, all the big call. I had a Tampa Bay Lightning type season, and if I get swept by the Blue Jackets in round 1, it's going to be devastating. But I'm not going to lie about it. I'm going to look down the pipe and say, yeah, it happened, and that's disgraceful. I'll give you my picks for the rest of the playoffs, but I feel like a disgrace. But we're not there just yet. We're not there just yet. And also, I do think the Islanders are going to force a Game 7. And why is that? Because in last game was the first game of all of them that Ilya Sorokin looked like a Vezina candidate. And if he continues his play like that at home, and the team who scored first in this series has won every single game, and rumor has it Freddie Anderson's going to be starting his first game, I'm going with the Islanders in this one. Look, there's only been one wild card team that's been favored at home. None of the other 3, only the Islanders. And you want to know why? Because the odds makers know how injured Carolina is. So many of their players are. Look at their line combinations. And I know the Islanders are nothing to write home about. But in UBS, the only reason they got cracked in that Game 4 were those early penalties, 5-on-3. If the Islanders don't take penalties, I foresee them winning this game, meaning early, where Carolina can get a lead and then just sit back. If the Islanders score first, they will win this game. That can be your last parlay. If the Islanders win, they're probably going to have to score first. Isles to score first with Isles to win. That'll be my last one for you Isles fans out there, all right? Good luck to you. Dare I say better luck to me because I need it. I will see you guys on Monday.